Yo, hello everyone. Just want to say massive sorry for the lack of videos. I've had a lot going on in my personal life between sort of work and other bits and pieces. That's really the main reason why I haven't been able to get on the bandwagon of doing videos. So yeah, I just want to say sorry. Hopefully they will start to pick up again. I've been trying to prioritise things. The car's been at the bottom of the list. I kind of have neglected it as of late. Josh has been round a few weekends at a time and I've been trying to help him sort his Skyline out, so again, no real filming. So today's plan is to finally change the steering wheel and boss that come with the car. I've never been happy with it because it's just crap. I mean, this is the boss sort of cover. That's the boss itself. It's just cheap aluminium. The steering wheel, actually, for a fake, I'm actually quite impressed. I mean, yes, there's a bit of flex in it, but it's held out quite well. I mean, steering wheels aren't meant to be like mega stiff, because if they are meant to collapse in the event of an accident. So obviously, if you go into a head-on collision, the steering wheel is actually meant to collapse and not shear off, because otherwise you end up getting impaled. So yeah, today is the day that I'm going to be swapping out for the new Boss. Now on my first Civic I did swap over the steering wheel, and that was a bit of a learning curve. I was running without a horn for I think the best part of 3 months because I couldn't work out how the hell to wire it up. I'm hoping now, with that bit of knowledge and experience behind me, I can get cracking and do a proper job. Okay, cool. So the first thing we have to do is remove the Allen keys. I've centered the steering wheel as best as I can, kind of the natural position the steering wheel falls in. If you remember, I did get the car aligned, so it should be nigh on center. Yeah, so remove the 6 Allen bolts and we'll get to the nut underneath. Okay, so the wheel and horn button are off. If you've already got an aftermarket wheel in place, similar to myself, then just tape up the horn wire, because obviously you don't want it connecting and pissing the neighbours off. So next step is going to be loosening this nut off, and I've also brought out the gear puller, because last time when I done mine I didn't actually lubricate the splines properly and the actual Boss jammed on. So if I have a similar scenario here, I just want to be able to take it off. So yeah, I'm going to have a punt and say that's a 17 or a 19. Okay, so in actual fact, it's probably worth you putting the steering wheel on steering lock and then undoing it, because obviously if you're trying to undo it, it's just going to spin. So I had to put the steering wheel on steering lock. Luckily, I know what position my steering lock goes into and where the holes line up. So now hopefully if I release it, it's going to go back into its normal place. So when you've undone the nut, loosen it all the way so that the nut face is level with the spline, sorry, the end of the spline. Doing this, basically when you come to pull the Boss towards you, you don't end up breaking your nose. Okay, so I've removed the Boss. That is here. Cheap Chinese rubbish. And I've just discovered the previous owner, see these 3 little nibs here? They actually go into the back of, well, what would have been the discus ring here originally, before the previous owner removed it. And as you turn the wheel, it turns these 2 nibs on the left. So if I put the indicator wheel down, so you turn left, knocks it out. You get the idea. That's meant to be like that. So basically, when you turn left, you put your indicator on, you turn left, it knocks it off, cancels it out, and when you turn right, it cancels it out. Okay, so the old Boss is off and the new OMP wheel, Boss, sorry, is on there. Now, if I remove this, obviously I'll explain the situation with these little nibs. This copper plate here is going to be the contact point for the brass ring that's on the back of the Boss here. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the horn wire to here and this basically gives you constant connection, so that copper plate is going to rub against this brass ring. This is simply an earth connector block strap from B&Q. Literally cost me £2, and with a pair of tin snips I cut off the excess, and you literally just bend it into shape with a little kink here, so there's an angle from the side. So it's not particularly difficult. This applies to most cars where you can fit a Boss too. For now I have just left it a little bit loose just to get the position right before I finally secure this in place. At the moment I'm just trying to work out the best way to put in the steering canceller, because obviously the nibs have been sanded down, and on the back of here you'll see that there's two silver bits. They were big prongs that used to stick out. They don't apply for the S14, they only apply for the S13, because the actual prongs sit in this gap here and basically cancel the indicator that way. But for my application it doesn't work. I mean, if I put this Boss on now, so let's line it up. That's it, there we go. Right, okay, so if we line it up, we go from the side, you can see there the back of the Boss doesn't actually slide all the way in, whereas the previous one did. I'm not too sure if it's meant to slide all the way back, but if it is, then I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but that is as far down as it will physically go until it's actually secure. So yeah, still trying to figure out the Boss canceller scenario at the minute, so we'll update if I come up with anything. Okay, so I have no real solution for this steering indicator cancel situation. I'm just going to leave it as is. I'm just going to have to live with it. I mean, I've been living with it since I've had the car, because it never really truly worked, and obviously now I know why. So I'm just going to leave it and just going to have to cancel the indicators myself, but I'm just glad I've got a proper Boss on there. So now I'm just going to sort of lubricate the centre spline, and once I've done that I'll tighten that all up and start running the wiring side of things. Once that's done, I can then bolt the quick release, and once I've done that I can put the steering wheel and test everything. Okay, so the threads are now greased and I've hand tightened the nut on there. So now next step is I'm going to take this bit of wiring and connect it to that copper strip up here. Probably the way I'm going to go about doing this is putting a ring terminal on here. Okay, so with a bit of trial and error, I've finally got the horn on here and working. So there's the connector behind the brass plate. I've used a spare sort of set screw from the Civic that I had. That's obviously the ring terminal, which feeds down into here, which is where the previous owner got the feed for the wire for the horn from. So now if we test it, just quickly put a wire in here and the ground, it works. Next step is to fit the plastics back on, the cowl here, put that on. I'll put the sheathing on for the Boss itself, then I'll go get the quick release, and then I'll go get the steering wheel. Again, I'm going to be testing the horn at each stage to make sure that the connections are still there. The interior plastics are back on, so to remove these in a 14, you simply just pop that little cover here, undo the screws underneath, pull this steering lever down so it's its lowest position, and then simply just pull the upper and lower panel apart. To put back together, literally in that reverse order, and you get back what you started with. If anyone is wondering what these little rings are that get included with the kit, for be it a horn or in my case a quick release, it's the ground. So be it if you're putting the horn on here, or sorry, the steering wheel on here, or if you're putting a quick release, this metal ring basically provides a ground between the Boss and obviously be it the steering wheel or the quick release here. So that is literally all this little ring does. You put a little spade connector in there, spade connector there, and obviously that's the positive, and then it comes out the other end like that. And obviously I had this on my Civic, like I said to you before, so the connection's already in place. So all I've got to do now is mount this onto there, and happy days. We can get going. The lower half of the snap off is now in place. So now again, just a quick test, and again we'll just test these two connections. Put one into the live. Cool, so now I guess it's time to go grab the new wheel. Show you guys first off, because I've never shown you guys. It was a birthday present to myself, from myself. We'll have a test fit, see the position, because obviously with the extension it's now sitting a lot closer to me than before. Where the snap off is now, the final resting place here is where the actual old wheel would have been, so now the wheel's going to be even further away. I think it's got like 2 inches of dish. And here is the moment of truth, ladies and gentlemen. There's the, let me get the fitting kit out first. And to reveal the piece that I've been hiding for ages. Ta-da! Cool, so this is my new KODE black and gold steering wheel, because obviously the theme for the car, well, the theme I want for the car is to be black and gold.
So just a shout out to my friend Bobby over there. Hello.
Hey there. No, so big thanks to Bob for popping over. He was popping over anyway, but come round and used his ingeniousness. Had to pull the Boss off again because the steering wheel weren't straight and I was struggling pulling it off, and then Bob come over arms. And you know, chicken arms.
Chicken arms, bro.
Man presses a chicken wing. So yeah, moving on. Got the Boss off, realigned the steering wheel, and it is now all back on, minus a bit of rubbing on the plastic, but I'm hoping that goes away. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That is a steering wheel, black and gold. Big shout out to KODE once again. I did lose one of the bolts. I'm going to find it somewhere and put it back in again. But yeah, the driving position's a bit weird. It's nearly twice as close as before, but it does mean that I can take the wheel out as and when I need to, and cleaning this fucker is going to be so annoying because of all the fingerprint marks. There we have it. Feature coming soon on Bob's S15. One day my piece of shit will look something like this. Basically, Bob doesn't want to drift the purple machine.
It's too pretty. Because
it's yeah, alright, I'll give you that, it's too pretty. I'm not really fussed if I go sideways in mine at the moment until I clean it up, but it is what it is. It's a car, enjoy it. But yeah, so I don't know what tonight holds, but again, thank you for tuning into the videos, thank you for commenting, thank you to everyone that's subscribed so far. Still aiming to hit the 1,000 by the end of the year. So thank you very much, and I'll see you for another one.
Sweet.